session titled, How AI Will Drive Impactful Environmental Education. Can AI make complex environmental topics more accessible? Can real-time data and tools like VR help inculcate interest in the climate discourse? Can the learning experience be personalized? This presentation by Mr. Swaroop Madhavan aims to connect all these dots. And yes, with your permission and a great round of applause, may I please invite the host for this session. Put your hands together for Mr. Amlan Shome. Please join me right here on the stage. Mr. Amlan Shome is a sustainability professional from the GLF team. A brief about our speaker, Mr. Swaroop Madhavan. He is the founder and CEO of Parentof, the world's first AI-based cognitive intelligence platform that measures and develops abilities of learners. With over 16 years of experience in the field of behavioral sciences and cognitive technologies, he leads the product, technology, and growth strategy of Parentof, which has acquired and integrated ThoughtNet Technologies, a cloud-based education management system provider. And yes, we are absolutely privileged to have you with us for the 5th edition of the Green Literature Festival. Over to the session.
Check. Check. Check.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thanks, Swaroop, once again. It's been, I think, second one in quick succession. The one that we recently had in Mysuru Hall around how AI could be an enabler towards education at large. But this one's probably a bit more specific around climate action. So again, it's no news. AI has been in the media for quite a while, back in 22 when the GPT movement came about. Since then, it's been like no short of coverage for AI. But it has been used in conjunction with multiple other topics, whether it's with respect to cancer research, nuclear physics, and multiple other domains. But probably, at least the ones that I have come across so far, didn't really touch upon education, or more specifically climate education per se, as a topic. So just to open up on that point, like where do you exactly see AI being an enabler, or how can exactly it kind of democratize climate education at large? I think let's kind of take it from there.
Thanks a lot. I wanted to share an experience that I had. Back in 2003, right, close to about 2.5 decades ago, my first journey with entrepreneurship started when I was heading something called Eco Club. Any of you from Christ College here, Christ University? All right. I was a student elect for that club. It had 350 volunteers. All right. We started off on that journey. We did from passive smoking to clear our footpaths to multiple campaigns. Okay. For 2 years, we done about 24 plus campaigns as students. Right? In one of the campaigns, we had about 3,000 people being engaged. But here is the reality check. We speak a lot. We did a lot of awareness. If you ask me a question, today when I walk on the Bangalore footpaths, is it a good experience? I'll probably stand, if that's okay. My answer to that is no. All right? I did a lot of passive smoking campaigns with Nimhans. Why should I smoke when I'm not a smoker was the question. Did rallies after rallies, held placards in afternoon sun? What did it change? Nothing, correct? Now here is a question. In fact, there was a brilliant session that we went through. Lot of data. But there was one question that asked, how do we start the change? Awareness, is it equal to action? That's the question in front of us. Now I'll tell you, this is exactly where I see AI making a change, and I want to bring it to you how. You know, most of us here have some bit of understanding of the political climate in the country, bureaucracy, all of that. You know, the last Delhi elections, I was happy, not because who won or who lost. You know, one of the central points of the election was what? pH levels of Yamuna river. Yes or no? We don't want to do our rituals in the river, which is, you know, people, data today has the power to run elections. When was the last time every paper kept writing about, in the last 5 to 6 years, there is one new 3-letter word we have all fell in love with. You go to Delhi, what is it? AQI. Okay? Suddenly you have sensors emitting the data. Now here is what changed, according to me, right? My sister lives in Faridabad, close to, outskirts of Delhi, all right? Trust me, you get down to Delhi, you can feel, you know, the nauseation. You will feel the irritation in your throat, your eyes. I can't stand Delhi, right? If there is a Delhi, I go first flight in the morning and come back by night. I can't stay there. The reality is this, that today, you know, what was different in 2003 when I did the campaign to 2025 is this. The problem has started hurting people. We humans, a lot of my friends and you, because so our company, we are headquartered in US. We are a Chicago-based company in Illinois. In Bangalore, we have a development center. The air quality in the same Chicago, I can walk for 15 miles. Without a sweat, my breathing is that good. In India, walking for 5-10 kilometers, I'm done. The question was this. Now when you're using AQI, what biggest shift that happened is, I figured out this. In India, there is one thing as public, we lack empathy. No matter how we defend it. I remember people telling me that we believe in Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. That's what runs us. I said, no sir, you're wrong. It is Bas Meri Kutumbakam is what runs India. Me, my family, that's where it ends. Turtles dying out in Andaman does not affect me, correct? The problem here is this, until a data does not find the way to relate to you, who's sitting on that chair, you don't take action. And this is a strong case of what data can do and why. Okay, what data can do and why I believe AI is coming into action. It can give real-time data. Streaming that data, making people aware of what is the AQI you're breathing is a big thing. Today, I think AI has taken a step from just merely giving data, but to make data personal and take actions. Today, be it water quality. Today, for example, smart homes. We talk about energy consumption at one end. We also talk about requiring AI to move from fossil fuels to come like EV cars, electric cars as sustainable. But you see, what powers it is also the other side of the story, which we will touch upon in our conversation. But I think the line that I want to leave with is, AI can bring so much data to all our lives. Smart homes can turn off the fan when you're out, right? It can sense where you need energy. Smart ACs today, for example, I don't know how many of you know this statistic. In the last 26 years, the amount of power an air conditioner requires has come down purely because of AI. The AI auto shuts off an AC when the temperature has reached, irrespective of what you want, which previously nobody would wake up in the night to do that. You forgot something, it auto switches it off. So I think AI is making energy conservation a lot more easier. But of course, having said that, there is the other side of the coin, but we will discuss that. Yeah.
Thanks for the opening remarks, Swaroop. But given that probably the audience here is the parents and the students, I'd also maybe like to make a segue into how this could be more of, in a formalized way, inculcated and integrated well within the regular K-12 education system. And not just that, but even beyond. If you go to uni, college, even following which you have people joining their early careers in corporates, how can this be like very well imbibed in the way just whatever they do, irrespective of whether or not they pick up any sustainability program, whether or not they end up joining any firm which has to do with sustainability, but this is more of a mind shift it. It is also an interdisciplinary subject which can be very well, mixed with whatever they're doing. So how could that entire pedagogy be created, like right from your kid, like kindergarten, all the way up to by the time they reach the corporate stage?
Yeah. Thanks for that question. See, here is something that we did in one of the schools actually, right, as a thing. And I'll take from examples rather than from a theoretical angle. And in fact, I was presenting this one of the noted schools. We did this one exercise with children. I could stand here and do environmental awareness training for 3 hours. I'll ask you guys a very honest question to all the audience out here, right? If I stand here and lecture you on environmental conservation for the next 4 hours at a stretch, how many of you are going to be seated where you are? You know the answer, okay? And children today have a different problem. Their amount of attention is decreased. They're used to instant gratification. They personalize everything, correct? So here is what we did. One of the things that we had AI to do, or we used AI very smartly, was we asked children to start solving problems. The role of the teacher changed. So here was the question, right? One of the noted schools in Bangalore, their energy consumption went up by 18% year on year. No physical infrastructure change, but 18% improvement. We posed this question to children. And we said, now, you guys have about 3 hours, and we put them in teams. They were competing for the best case they make. Now, I want to tell you what children came out with. And this was, of course, for a higher age group of children. Here is what they did, and it surprised me too. One of the child had an idea to pick up the electricity bills of last 3 years. They picked it up, they put it on GPT. They asked GPT to tell what was the reason behind the increments, which unit from where. It came out, that was 1 point, 1 data point analyzed. The second, one child had this interesting idea. He took the weather forecast of the last 3 years. They went on to say Bangalore has become 2 degrees more hotter, not cooler. Okay? He said, so the air conditioning is being on for this amount of time. This is the money that's happening because the environment. Now the question was, here was the third child's idea. Google Earth gets you photos. And the good part is this is a memory machine. It never forgets. He took the last 10 years greenery data around the 20-kilometer radius of his school. The Wayback Machine started giving him photos. He collected about 200 of those photos, put it on AI and he started showing the green cover going low. Now you see what just happened. In 3 to 4 hours, these children, from merely going through understanding things, they were able to go down and tell, hey, why that green cover had to improve to reduce the AC cost by 18%. The cause and effect, the causation, cause and effect relationship. When you get children to live, go down and do this work, I think that's one of the best ways to do climate education, according to me, right? I think to let children use what they use, but one thing is give them an active problem to solve. And the good part, today's generation is this, right? AI supports, children have to think. Here is all that is important. Children don't have to know. This is the key. We've moved from a knowledge economy to an insight economy. Knowledge is no longer power. You can have all the knowledge on the planet. Is there something AI does not know? That's the question. So how do you use AI? I think that's the training that is required for children is, when you think AI can support in that direction. So AI becomes an extended brain. Yeah, thanks.
I mean, I'd just like to maybe double down a bit on that point particularly. You spoke about how it can be like more of an hands-on program rather than as opposed to making it a very theoretical approach as we are used to.
Correct.
Any core like pedagogies or programs that you've been a part of where the case studies like came out to be really successful apart from the ones that you mentioned on how exactly they went on doing what they went and what were the core outcomes if you had any tangible ones?
See, the core relies on this, how do I put this out? Okay, let's put this question out again, right? I love to play a teacher first. As I always said, forget the technologist behind me. I am a teacher first. So I always say I'm a teacher by passion and an entrepreneur by design. Okay, I'm still a curious kid in the candy shop who loves to learn equally. The question is this. I'm assuming all of you here know to cycle, correct? Bicycle. If I ask you, if I keep a kid here who does not know how to cycle, and I ask you to teach him cycling, can you theoretically do that? Okay, you know cycling, why can't you teach cycling? Okay, E equals mc square, balance is equal to, given the equilibrium of the wind, put your pedal this way. Does that work? Can your physics explain? Can you teach cycling? Now you think about this. Knowledge cannot build skills. This is very important. Because the ability or the skill of balance, static balance, is a physio-neurological process, yes or no? The child has to be on the cycle to learn how to balance. The body learns it. Okay? Now here is the thing. Until you don't put children on through a project or an experiential simulation, they can't learn skills. It's just knowledge. Yes or no? Okay, I can teach you photography, correct? By going through a 3-hour photography course, will you become a good photographer? I'll teach you communication skills. Does that mean all of you can do TED Talks tomorrow? See, there is a difference between teaching and learning. The mistake is here, right? What I think project-based learning really does in a pedagogical shift is it gets children to think and develop skills and abilities like deductive reasoning, inductive reasoning, bilateral thinking. So I think it's clearly the way to build those abilities in real time, which simulations help. So what happens in virtual reality is exactly this, in experiential reality is this, right? In fact, I was recently in government of Odisha has done an amazing, I don't know how many of you seen this, in Bangalore it's happening even currently if I'm not wrong. They had an immersive experience of Orissa. Yeah, I'll get there. Immersive experience of Orissa's nature and ecological thing, which people could go and experience and see what problems they could solve. So I think you could bring a lot more immersive experiences in, which children put themselves in the problem, rather than merely learn they can solve. Then automatically they learn faster. That's my idea. Yeah.
Absolutely. And where do you think exactly it all begins from? Like it is well within the purview of the school, or the government has to intervene, or do you feel there are other program associations altogether that has to step in and make this happen?
See, in India it's a bit different. We work, every country this answer differs, right? Like for example, we work with Bonn School in Germany, right? One of the largest schools in Germany. We work in Stockholm, we work in US. Very interestingly, in a lot of countries, governments have taken initiatives, to bring experiences in. In India, also a lot of private schools have taken the initiative, but at government at large, takes time to get through. Yeah.
Okay. Fantastic. I think also, we can make a segue into a quick Q&A, after which I can have a few more questions. Yes, please.
Yeah.
In the Mysuru Hall.
Correct.
So I'm a technologist by profession at the first place, and I've been really interested in Gen AI in the past few years. My question is really technical. So Gen AI is fantastic, and big data is playing a big role in many fields, and we are talking about agentic AI and using agents to automate the jobs and things like that. Probably you might be using that in your product also. My question is, Gen AI has its faults, and there are a lot of errors, and while children are using it for search and we are doing it for research, we are finding that many of the links are not proper, not working, whatever is pointed to is not correct or paywalled or something like that. Now with all these faults, it's not just hallucination, but there are also sequencing faults and other problems that are there in Gen AI. So my question is, how can you rely on Gen AI for accuracy in our projects and in our research and even commercial products and critical business decisions that we need to make? How can we rely on Gen AI?
Sure, got it, sir.
And one more follow-up is that there is this business automation, right? Pure automation, not using Gen AI. You can use business rules to make decisions. So why not use that instead of Gen AI?
Thanks a lot for this question. So the question, summarizing the question is this, right? How safe is Gen AI? Is that a fair statement for children? It's not even about safety, but it gives inauthentic statements. Correct. How can we rely on Gen AI? This is a very interesting question because this gets me to answer one more critical point, sir. Information without guidance is more evil than it is good, I'll tell you. See, children don't have the ability to discriminate, correct? That requires maturity. You know, I mean, a lot of adults also don't have ability to discriminate, that's a different part. But I think without discrimination, power of discrimination, when you give information, it's extremely dangerous. It can brainwash. They can go take the story and they can peddle that story, right? Till it becomes the truth. So I think this is exactly where the role of the teacher is important, sir. And this is what I profess, right? I don't think AI can replace the role of a teacher. In fact, it's going to be increasing. For a reason is this. What a teacher, a physical teacher has to do is now facilitate this. Okay? AI will take time to get it right. I mean, like Wikipedia, like any other technology, any other book getting biased in its own way, every information has the way to put it out. But I think the role of a teacher is not about right or wrong, but I think is about facilitating it to keep that discrimination somewhere alive, right? There can't be any more knowledge givers. And I think this is true because the workshop I was doing was with teachers, right? And you know, the biggest challenges teachers were raising was children are learning everything in AI. Why are we even required henceforth? Okay, they have their own teacher, it personalizes everything, all agreed on the benefits. But I think the role of a teacher is no longer a knowledge giver, but that of a facilitator and guidance, which it was before, right? Which is kind of lost and that has to come back, right? Because children will have their own learning tools, you can't stop it, right? It's a tool that's evolved. But very, very discriminate use. And second is, so a lot of AI that we let children on needs to be licensed, and there are kid-specific tools, like how YouTube has a YouTube Kid channel, right? I think globally, because of regulations, data regulations, including India right now, with the DPDP Act, if you've seen, it's getting extremely regulated for children's use. So I think laws are already helping us from GDPR, COPA, HIPAA, FERPA, SHAPA, all laws are helping us regulate content for children about what they get exposed to, and the onus lies with the aggregator, like a GPT, for example. They can't absolve themselves, they'll say, no, we are not responsible anymore. That's already common. Yeah, but thanks a lot for that question.
Swaroop, I think just a follow-up to that question, touched upon research and, of course, having brought the topic of regulations as well. We've seen cases where teachers come up to the parents and complain that this probably would have been highly plagiarized, and not just at the K2 level, but even for PhD scholars, as you mentioned, a huge influx of AI has happened where researchers are now spending enough time on doing research on their own, but relying on external Gen AI tools. So 2 questions on this. First is, how should we do it in a more phased-wise approach, where at certain junctures you have involvement to AI and to what extent it is, And also the follow-up to that is, does there have to be an external body governing it? We saw it failing, I think, in 1 or 2 countries which tried to implement this on a pilot phase in West. But yeah, just about like how much is too much in this regard?
Perfect, right? Stretching on regulation is a good question. See, Sweden, how many of you know banned AI? And you guess how many days could they sustain with that ban? 1 week. That to reverse it. For children, they banned AI. They reversed it quickly. The reason is very simple. Okay, if I were to ask a question in the audience right now, what is 318 divided by 196.31? You know the answer? You know how I will get the answer? Calculator, correct? Yes or no? Mobile or anywhere, I'm going to do that. See, calculator is a tool. Now, is that equal to, the question is this, does that mean people have stopped counting mentally? The answer is also yes. Tools have a way of getting people a better tool. Humans use it fast. Can you stop it? So my answer is this. You can't stop. I don't believe you should look at stopping children from using it. I don't think that's the way. The problem with the phase-wise implementation is what is the phase, who defines it, and for whom, right? So it's very hard as a tool for you to bring it. Children get smarter too. I think what's important is to build the skills in children rather to use it safely. I think this is important rather than going against a tool, right? You would rather look at, because humans always have invented tools to ease their life. They will keep doing this, right? And we have to adapt, and that's the only way it's worked today.
But should they directly jump into AI, or should the fundamentals be clear first and they can use it only to accelerate what they have learned? So that's the...
Time out.
Okay. I think,
All right.
I think let's wrap it up, and
yeah, thanks a lot for
questions
this.
up later.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Can I just ask a question? Sorry. Would you like to talk about the energy costs of AI itself?
I was waiting for this question. Okay. See, it's true, right? AI is a massive energy consumer. Data centers in the world account to 1% of energy consumption across. Second is the water footprint of AI, which is true. I think AI as an industry has taken this up very seriously, is what I know. I can't, of course, vouch for all of them, but one of the quick things that they've done is they've started reporting their SDG goals, ESG reports, every data center. Okay. Now the classification is between a green data center that uses, the first thing is energy consumption. The energy use is on renewable or non-renewable. So non-renewables are getting banned. Okay. Only renewable energy sources are now allowed for data centers in most of the cases, including Amazon, OpenAI, all of them right now. So it's mostly them directly contracting wind energy, hydrothermal energy, or even nuclear right now is getting discussed. All right, that's the first part of the discussion. The second part of this discussion is the huge water footprint AI lives. Because AI data centers need to get cooled. See, let's understand this a bit more subjectively. Okay, here is my point. And objectively a bit more data also. Water footprint exists for everything. The jeans, both of us are wearing jeans. A pair of jeans to manufacture requires 12,650 liters of water. The book that you have, the book that you're buying, each paper, you know how much water goes in? How much trees goes in? There is always an ecological footprint no matter what the argument is. First, let's get this objectively, right? Now, about 4% goes to textile and manufacturing. In no way that's okay for AI to do this. For every GPT search that you do, about 1 drop of water is what getting consumed. Now, what companies have started doing is they're starting to replace water with cooling agent. It's a chemical produced that instantly cools the water. Second, they have stopped data centers in places like Cape Town in South Africa, for example, where water scarcity is very high. Water is more expensive than fuel there, right? They are not putting up data centers in any zone that has a water scarcity, community-wise. Third, they are actually moving data centers in permafrost regions. Now, this is very beautiful experience, okay? In fact, I don't know how many of you know one of the experiments right now is in Antarctica, where they're putting up a data center. Now, yeah, there are side conversations of this that will start melting that glacier, which is a threat to humankind. I'm very well aware of that too. But I think there are consecutive steps being taken, and over the next about 5 to 6 years, the commitment globally on AI is they will be bringing this down drastically by about 95%. In the last 2 years, Amazon has achieved a 30% reduction already in their, at least as per their ESG reports, if I were to read into one, right? So I think there is a global action on this, and this is going to come down in the future 100%, because without which this is not sustainable, right? This tool is not sustainable if it does not come down. Yeah, that's my belief too.
Yes, I think we can call it a wrap with this. And yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I request both of you to kindly remain on the stage, and I take this opportunity to kindly invite Jaya ma'am onto the stage. Can we please have a huge round of applause for her? She's a filmmaker and the head of communications at A3. How AI drives impactful environmental education. Thank you, Mr. Swaroop, for dealing with this topic from a multi-dimensional point of view. And thank you so much to our host, Mr. Amlan Shome. Can we please have a group photograph? And yes, everyone.